Hey guys, I'm here at Giant Gorilla Greens in Woburn, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston, and I'm going to give you guys a really great tour of their farm, so stay tuned. Hey guys, thanks for having me at the farm. I'm super excited to be here and see your farm. But it'd be great to tell people kind of how you guys got started and a little bit more about your farm.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much, Jonah, for coming down to Boston to see our farm. We're super excited to have you here. We've been talking to you and consulting with you for a couple of years, so it's a really fantastic experience to have you here in person. My name is Smita. I'm the co-founder of Giant Gorilla Greens.
I'm Uday Ramakrishna, also co-founder of Giant Gorilla Greens.
We started growing microgreens at home just to support our lifestyle. We eat a mostly whole foods, plant-based diet, and we do that to keep my chronic condition in check. And Uday especially really likes growing food. And he was the one who started growing microgreens. Do you want to?
My impetus is we live in Massachusetts. The growing cycle is so short, and it takes 8 months, and then you figure you didn't do well. I like to fail fast, and I figure microgreens is a quick crop to grow outside of their nutrient dense quality. So that's why I got started, and I think that's where the journey started.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I had a very similar start where I just wanted to grow something green and I gardened for a long time. And it's crazy how it turns from just a hobby kind of passion into an actual business, which is really cool. And I'm excited to show everyone the facility you guys have because it's really amazing. And honestly, the cleanest facility I've ever seen for a microgreens farm, which is really cool. But yeah, we can walk through the process of how you guys grow. And yeah, maybe let's start with the soil machine here.
Absolutely.
So tell me about kind of how you guys started using this machine. Like, I guess you guys would have originally started with just mixing soil by hand, and then when you bought this machine and kind of more about it.
I mean, when we started, we used to use soil that we bought at like Home Depot or Lowe's, and they had so much of mulch in it that we had to like build this machine to seed that. So we moved on to then getting a better soil that was pro mix that would retain better water. And this handmade tool was our best friend to kind of level the soil by throwing it by hand. It was easy when we were doing 10 or 20 trays, but then when we started scaling up, it wasn't so much fun anymore.
Yeah.
So Smita went and found this cool little machine.
Yeah.
And it's been like a lifesaver for us.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was very labor intensive, trying to break down a bale, trying to mix fertilizer in without having any concentrated chunks of fertilizer. So this machine it literally saved our life. And now we're easily able to mix the soil and fertilizer. And then it also fills our 10 by 20s. So it's a huge time saver. It saves us doing a lot of like labor and sweating it out here, which we don't have to do anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Soil mixing is definitely like really intense.
Thanks for like consulting with you, right? We were using a liquid fertilizer that was more expensive. And so we hadn't heard of the product Gaia, so talking to you, we kind of figured that's a viable alternative. And that's how we got onto using even a fertilizer that was not liquid.
Yeah.
It kind of helps scale us across the business versus trying to do it selectively.
Yeah, for sure. So how do you find the difference between the liquid fertilizer and the Gaia Green in terms of like yield and flavor and all that kind of stuff?
I believe that they're very, very comparable. The only crop that I would say probably did better on a liquid fertilizer might be something like arugula.
Oh, interesting.
Arugula is a problematic crop, but I remember the only time we have had like a very fantastic, flawless arugula crop was when we were using the liquid fertilizer.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And but you're generally using the powdered fertilizer now?
Yes.
You find
So
it's easier to use?
it's a lot easier and there's no wastage. Like with the liquid fertilizer, you always run the risk of basically just throwing it down the
Yeah.
drain once it's done, because we don't have a recirculating system.
Yeah.
So this is a lot more efficient.
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of this machine, so you put the soil, this lifts up?
Yes, this
Okay,
one.
so that kind of lifts up, and then you put the bale. Oh, cool. So the bale sits on here.
No, this it goes all the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
We can turn it on if we
Yeah.
this
Like,
auger will spin.
Yeah.
it won't.
It's a safety gate.
Yeah, it won't turn on unless this is closed.
Yeah.
It'll make
Do you want to give me some trays? We can like fill
Yeah.
some trays.
Okay, cool. So this is like it kind of it like gets the top layer of soil off this little spinner.
Yes.
Okay, okay, cool. It sounds so futuristic, like the like the electricity that's going through it. That sounds really cool. Oh, nice. There you go. That's how you make life a lot easier as a farmer.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, I can see why this is, a lifesaver
Yep.
for, running a farm. The soil mixing was definitely one of the most tiring parts of
Yeah.
running a microgreens farm. It having that machine must save you guys not just time, but in terms of you get home and you're not so tired at the end of the day because you're not doing so much physical work.
Yeah.
Even though you're farming, it's still physical work. It's
Yeah.
much less intense having a soil mixing machine.
For sure. And this machine can do like 600 trays an hour.
Wow.
So
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. So you guys will be good for a while because that's a lot of trays. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, cool. So then the first step is you seed the microgreens you mix the soil in there, and then the next step would be seeding.
feeding, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So you have the trays, and it looks like it did a really good job of evenly, like making like a flat, spreading out the soil really well. Do you find it mixes really well, like the fertilizer, like it's perfect?
Yeah, we
even?
haven't had any problems with mixing.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
Okay,
it's
awesome.
fantastic.
Awesome.
So
So then the next step would be seeding, and it looks like you guys have a really well organized system with everything labeled.
Yep.
So is this where you keep all the seed?
So we have some seed here, but most of it is stored in a different room in a closet.
Oh, okay, got it.
Not that we're keeping it in a room that's slightly cooler. I think that would be ideal, having like a cooler room. But that's something we probably will plan for in the future.
Yeah. I know they always say you should ideally keep it in a freezer. In my opinion, I think it's just not practical to keep it in
Yeah.
a freezer because the most seeds last up to 5 years, and there's only a few like sunflower, onions that only last like 1 to 3 years. But most seed lasts a long time. So unless you're, stocking up for the apocalypse, I think you'll probably be okay with keeping at room temperature. Yeah, but I know ideally you keep it in a cooler temperature, but in my experience, you don't really need to necessarily.
The
Yeah.
only seed I would say we ran into an issue in all our time now is basil. For some reason, it had some kind of pest inside it.
Interesting.
So we had, disposed that. And they sent us a new batch of it. But it was here for a while, but it just came out of the blue.
Yeah. I think you mentioned that on the podcast.
I did.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Yeah. I've had something similar where there was grain bugs. If you ever know what grain bugs are, We got it from a seed company, and there was these little bugs, and I couldn't figure what they were. And I found out just researching online they were grain bugs. So I think it was on maybe it was like wheatgrass or something.
Okay.
So they actually will eat the grain. So if you and then it was kind of unfortunate. It spread to my
Oh,
kitchen at my house, and I got grain bugs in like flour, and I didn't even know that this was a thing. And it's like it's almost like they like there was those moths that would eat your clothes back in the day.
yeah.
That I didn't even I thought it was a myth, but apparently it's still a thing that
It
exists.
is, yeah.
So it's the same thing. I didn't know that there was like this common bug that will
Yeah.
eat your grains in the bags in your house. So anyway,
Yeah.
side story, but I'm glad you got rid of that batch and got a new batch because you
Yeah.
definitely don't
Yeah.
want live bugs in your seed.
Yeah.
So definitely keeping an eye on the close eye on the seed is important because it was very
It was so tight. You couldn't see it.
couldn't see the
Yeah.
cups.
Mm.
While I was looking at the cup in which we place it, is when I noticed that it was a cluster, and then we
Because it was coming out of the seed, and
Yeah.
that's how we saw it.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that why you guys have like most of the bigger seeds stored in bins to kind of prevent anything from getting in?
So,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So then when you do, so do you seed once a week or multiple times a week?
we do multiple times a week.
What,
So
so-
it's based on a schedule.
Yeah.
Oh, like see,
Yeah,
how
seeding.
often do we
Yeah.
seed?
Yeah.
So we have a chart. We seed like our biggest seeding day is Monday.
Okay.
And then we seed through the week. But it's not like a lot. But on Monday is like our busiest like seeding day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you kind of do you weigh you oh I see the scale there. So you weigh out each seed, they get the exact amount that you want.
Yep.
And then do you ever do that in advance, like on before, or you do it just the day of?
We used to do it when we used to seed on the weekend. So we would measure everything on Friday so that if we are coming in on a Sunday to seed, we're not spending a lot of time in the office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now you find it's manageable to
Yeah.
kind of just do it all in one day.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and then how many varieties do you grow here?
We have like a lot of seeds.
Yeah.
But I think on a regular basis, we're probably doing no more than a dozen crops.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I find that really a lot of farms start out with like all the varieties in the world. And then once you realize that like there's only so many that have enough demand that it makes sense, then they narrow it down. I guess the exception is like some farms that sell directly to restaurants. A lot of restaurants want like tons of variety, but most consumers of the product are only going to buy, a handful of different products. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we can get to the next part. So once they're seeded on the trays, then the next thing would be to water them in and put them in the germination room.
Yep.
Okay, so you're doing some seed
Yep.
prepping now. So you're doing something very interesting, which I've never seen before, is you have a 10-20 tray on the scale, and then you're weighing multiple like trays worth of seed at once and then I guess what you're doing is you're just adding the cup each time, and then you're putting the amount of seed, and then it's just whatever the seeding rate is, you just add that to the number that's
Yes.
previously there.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a really smart way to reduce the time in prepping to seed, because normally people would just weigh 1 cup, put that in, spread it, but doing things in groupings like this is a much smarter way to actually save time on seeding. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I like the 10 by 20. Obviously, you can do like so many cups on that, like up to I think 8 or 10. It was Uday's idea. I want to give him credit for that.
No, it's really smart. Yeah, I've never actually seen that done, but that's a really smart way to do it. Okay, and then so you put a little bit of water on these trays to get them started.
Yep.
And you're seeding basil?
Yes.
Nice. Interesting. So you guys do it different ways.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I found that, a lot of people, I had the same thing where when I train staff on seeding, because we seeded pea shoots and sunflowers still by hand, and everything else was done with a seeding machine. But when people did the pea shoots and sunflower, they would all do it a little bit differently, which is very interesting. So it's cool to see that you guys, have been doing this for a few years, and you're both doing a different way in seeding.
Yeah, I started out with my hand, but you get your hand gets fatigued.
Yeah.
The cup is easier, I feel.
Yeah. Well, as long as it's evenly seeded, and I'm excited to show everyone the actual grow space, because that's, it's crazy how evenly, for seeding by hand, how even the trays are. So you'll just water them in, and then they're good to go?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So then they would go in the germination room.
Take them both.
Okay, so you have a grow tent for your germination, which is really cool. And you have, so obviously usually you'll have a lot more, but just because you guys are showing us
Yeah.
that there's just the 2 basil there. So you have this grow rack here in the tent, and then you have more germination space over here. So is there a reason that the basil's going in this one?
So this came afterwards, and then we try to keep basil separately from the other crops because we try to keep it more humid. It stays for longer duration. So
Yeah.
we keep them white.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And then you're also you don't stack them in this one?
Well, we tried doing the basil this way, and we were hoping to have less, soil and things like stuck to the seed.
Yeah.
And I think it's working out all right for now, where we basically just put them in the tent. The tent has like a bucket of water with a heating element.
Okay.
So the tent stays humid. And then after 4 days, we open the tent and like things are already germinated. It doesn't really need like a top tray.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, stacking basil I found doesn't seem to work well. So I found that usually leaving it unstacked. But that's smart because I guess, so you don't have to water it at all during the germination phase?
Yeah, for those 4 days, we don't do anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. We do check on it, and if we think it needs like a little spray it.
Okay, cool. And then this room is the main germination room?
Yep.
Yeah, these grow tents are such a great way to like save on building something.
Because we took everything out today, but here is where we do like stack things and
Okay, cool. So you stack them for all the other crops, you stack
for
them?
everything we stack.
Okay, and then it's just for basil that you don't stack.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is, yeah. And then do you have to control humidity in here at all, or just having it closed with the plants in there is enough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just having it closed is like, it's pretty humid in there.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. And then you guys just, I'm glad to see things like this. Like it's just a germination tent cleaning log. Like you're just having those kind of things make life a lot easier when you have staff. So you guys have some staff working here, right?
We have a part-time helper, but she mainly does like washing and sanitizing.
Okay.
So she doesn't really do the operations. So for the operations, we have like SOPs.
Yeah.
We have like a daily checklist as well. So the checklist is basically like a print of everything that you want to do like in priority. So like say it's like today is Tuesday.
Yeah.
So first priority is like watering everything, setting the fans because tomorrow is harvest day.
Yeah.
So we have a checklist for each day.
Okay, cool. Nice. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you guys have those SOPs because once you have more and more staff, it just makes training them so much easier.
Yeah.
And eventually you guys are going to be like too busy that like creating that while you're already so busy with, ramping up production will make it even harder to work on those SOPs because you have to spend that time focusing on production. So that's really smart. And then now I know you guys are getting a tray washer, which is really exciting. But for now, you guys, after you wash them, you kind of just stack them on a rack here and let them dry. And then after like a day or so, they're ready to use again?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay. And then And then so once they come out of germination, which is I guess is on a fixed schedule year round, everything's the same.
Yeah, we have a checklist for that. Also, like on Monday, this is what comes out of germination on Tuesday, so that there's absolutely no confusion and you know exactly what's coming out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Perfect.
Yep.
Okay, and then once they come out of germination, you just I guess these are multi-purpose. You can use these to wheel them.
Yeah, we roll these over and like it's easy having the tents here because you just basically like move them onto this and then roll them in and
Yeah.
get everything on the flood trays. Uday is actually building a system to make this step easier as well. Do you want to like talk about that?
I mean, like you had suggested, we were thinking we could just use 2x4s and build more of a germination room here, so that all we do is we don't have to like today we bring it, we lift it, put it in, and put weights. Instead of that, you just wheel the rack in and you're done with it. So one step gets cut.
Oh, okay.
So hoping that that will kind of reduce
Yeah,
some amount of work we have to do. It's
Yeah.
not so modular and
yeah.
movable, but I think that will kind of reduce all the overheads.
Oh, okay. So right now the racks in there, you have to like
Physically lift.
lift them
lift
off.
The stacks out.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah,
But if we could do everything and bring it here and just push the racks in,
yeah,
these floor tents are not made for that weight. So just
Yeah.
building it probably still.
yeah, yeah. And you already have most of a a wall here, or you have the insulation, so it'd be pretty easy
Yeah.
to do that. It's just some framing, and you can just use some 6 mil plastic, unless if you can drywall it, but it might get moisture issues. But yeah, there's lots of easy, cheap options that are available for that. Okay, cool. And then so it comes out. So you guys for now take it out by hand, but soon you'll just be able to wheel it. And
Yeah.
then and then you bring them to the grow area, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And this is the grow area, which is super cool. I think like, the setup is really great. It's I would say semi-automated, but they have some really cool things going on here, and I'm excited to walk through with you guys the setup. So you're using a flood and drain system, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So maybe I'll just do a quick walk through, and you can see just how uniform the crops are on the trays. Now those are different
Yep. That's
age, but all the crops, I like the little labels you have. That makes it like a lot easier to
Identify
identify,
them,
yeah,
yeah.
what it is and when it's from. But you can see it's super uniform, and this is arugula, which is a really tough crop to grow, and it's super uniform. And then things like over here, there's amaranth, which is a very tricky crop to grow, and some radish on the other end, and it's super uniform. But if you want to talk about the plumbing, I think that this is a very familiar system with the plumbing. But yeah, just like it looks great, and I'd love to hear about your experience with having like setting up the PEX and having the flood and drain versus watering by hand, which I'm guessing is how you guys started.
Yeah, I think back home we had a bucket and a jar system that was filling each tray at a time. And I know we've had cuts from all of that. It was painful. I think back then we had decided we were going to do flood trays, but after talking to you, we kind of implemented this, which is get PEX, have valves for each one of them, and then we also prepped it in such a way that tomorrow when automation comes in, we can just replace the PEX
Yeah.
with a solenoid in between that you can control using software controls.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the next level where we can get to automation. But today what we do is we manually pretty much open and close the valves. So it just floods the whole system, and then there's a drain
Yeah.
that takes the water out
Yeah.
to a big tank that we have. And only on days when we first bring this out, we try to ebb and flow, but otherwise it's all individually watered and drained out.
When you say individually watered, like each level, you mean?
Each level
Yeah,
is
yeah.
individually watered, so
Yeah.
we don't carry any contaminant
Yeah.
across.
Yeah.
So we kind of keep it that way.
Yeah. And smart to put the solenoids in here. This is a filter for the solenoids. so that when the time comes that you guys want to automate, it's ready to go. Like it's it's like a quick switch. You just switch out a few parts and you have an automated system, which is really great. But even still, this setup saves so much time, and it's something that really anyone can do. I wouldn't recommend doing it in your house, but once you have a commercial scale facility, it just makes life so much easier. You just turn a valve, you can go do other things, set a timer, come back, and then have the water going in the background.
It's very easy when you have a clean these trays as well, that you can just drain the whole thing out and flood them on.
Yeah.
The tripping hazard, having the hose somewhere around, and it can also fall and flood this whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. And you also not having just the cleanest farm, but you also have the cleanest flood tables I have ever seen. It's unbelievable. So I'm guessing you guys must have to clean them pretty often to keep them this pristine.
Every week that we harvest stuff, they get scrubbed down and then they get sanitized.
Okay, nice. And then I see you have a few fans here, kind of on each level. Now, do you have one per? It looks like one per every two. Oh, you have on the other side as well. So pretty much one per level is what you have going. And do you keep those on all the time, just to move the air around?
Yeah, they're on as long as there's trays in the flood tray, the fans stay on.
Okay, nice. Do you find that helps like with humidity or temperature? Or...
I think we've seen like moisture sitting on the leaves, and I think that we don't want to see that for like a prolonged time.
Yeah.
It's going to create issues. So the fans are definitely helpful in keeping that down.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool. And first of all, the crops look amazing. I can't get over how I'm so used to looking at purple light, and when you have the white light, it just everything looks so beautiful. Like just the purple and the red from the amaranth and the radish just look really, really
Yeah,
beautiful.
definitely. Those two are very, very beautiful.
Yeah. And then in terms of lighting, so I was really impressed with the lighting you guys are using. So you have one thing I think is really cool is these lights have spacers, so you can choose how far apart you want them, and then they are held in place with these spacers, which is such a simple thing. It's just a piece of plastic, but it makes installing them a lot easier, and then keeping them in place, right? Because you have another set of lights that they kind of will move over time. We had the same thing, and then you don't really get the same even lighting. So with this, it solves that problem, which is really cool to see. So could you guys talk about it sounds like you guys have done a lot of testing with lighting. So I'd love to hear kind of where like the different lights you've used and your experience with them and what you kind of settled on to be the best grow lights that you're using for microgreens.
So we started out with the Barina lights that are very, cost friendly. We bought them on Amazon. And then after we moved into this facility, like this warehouse, we wanted to basically up our game a little bit. And we tried to contact a lot of light manufacturers. I think that a lot of the lights are geared towards the cannabis industry. So it was a little bit of a struggle getting like good lights. But then, we found these lights. These are Fight electric lights. The Fight electric lights, we bought them at Home Depot. And we also bought GE lights from Lowe's. So, just your regular hardware store, you can go buy lights from there. We bought some like Kind LED lights as well. That's like they're made specifically for microgreens. And then we basically tested and compared all of them. And, we figured out that, some of them are giving us like fantastic yield. Some of them are giving us like fantastic colors. And so based on that, we decided which ones we want to choose. So we did Fight electric. And then we have some GE lights as well. And both of them you can get at like any hardware store.
Yeah. And the Fight LED, there's a really cool feature that they showed me earlier, which I'm excited to share with you. They actually, it's really cool. You can actually turn on and off the different spectrums just with a little switch. on a relatively inexpensive light. That's really cool. So you can do a lot of testing or modifying depending on the crop you're growing. So you can choose to have more blue light, more red light. And I think that's really, really smart in a light like this, especially in the early phase of R&D, to see what works best. And what's also really cool is they're using much less power than what I've seen in the past to get really, really good results. Like the crops look really great. Like here we got some, is this a mix? It's like a
Salad mix.
brassica mix.
It's a salad
Yeah,
mix. Yeah,
like they
it's-
look really, really healthy. And then here there's kohlrabi, which also looks great. And the leaves are a good size and the stems aren't super, super long. And here it looks like kale. Yeah.
Yep.
And they look like really, really healthy and a really good size, which is a good indicator. If you have crops where the stems are really elongated, there's usually an indication you don't have enough light. And then how many hours are you guys doing per day on the lights?
Our lights come on at 2 p.m. and they stay on till 8 a.m.
8 a.m.
Yep.
So that's
18 hours.
18 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Nice. And do you have like time of use here where they charge more for electricity certain times of the day or
We
no?
don't have that. I
Okay.
wish we did.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, sometimes they can save money. It just depends on your location. Yeah. But yeah, everything looks super, super healthy. Like the basil looks really great and smells really great. And even the cilantro, which is my personal favorite, looks really, really healthy. So and then what is oh, cinnamon basil.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool. Is that used for restaurant clients?
We basically just give it to a retail store. They have it as a separate product. Cinnamon
Oh,
basil.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really
Yeah.
cool. Okay. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much the grow area. So once these are ready to harvest, so I guess how do you know what's ready to harvest is a good question.
So we have everything on like a specific cycle. So like the amaranth, for example, is on a 14-day cycle. Most of the brassicas are on a 9-day cycle. They get harvested on the 9th day.
Okay.
So we have kind of everything planned out like on a spreadsheet. And so we basically, if we want everything to be ready on Wednesday, we just count back from
Yeah.
there. And
Yeah. And then these little tags here that
Yep.
will say the date, these will indicate that's how you know when they were
Yep.
planted, and then you just count the amount of days to grow, and okay, the 10-10 basil will be ready on whatever it is on sometime end of October. Okay, cool. And after the crop is ready to harvest, then you take it to the harvest area,
Yes.
which is over here. So maybe let's go over there.
Yep. So we would transfer all the trays onto one of these wheel racks.
Yeah.
Then we would wheel them here.
Okay, cool.
And we have the quick cut greens harvester, which this was actually the first machine we bought, and this was after we consulted with you, and this was a huge time saver. So this we basically harvest everything on this table. There's a drill that goes here, and this machine definitely makes life a whole lot easier. Like I remember once. There was a retailer that wanted I think 100+ boxes. And that time I was the only one and I hand cut everything.
Wow.
And I remember working till 10 p.m. that night by myself, trying to pack 100 boxes after hand cutting them. And I wish I had this machine back then. So yeah, this is the best thing according to me.
Yeah. No, it's great. I'm glad you guys got one because it's I always tell people, it's by far the best low cost option to harvest, and to harvest by hand, even at a small scale, doesn't make sense. And then even just for the scenario you were in where it's worth it just for that one time when you have a big harvest, let alone to have it for many years. So I'm glad you guys have it, and you have the quick stand here. So how do you attach it to the table? A clamp, okay.
There, the orange.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And we actually bought this while we were still in the house. So
nice.
we used to have this in our basement.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
And then so you just clamp it down.
Yep.
Nice. Okay. And then while you're doing that, I see you have these, I've seen a few of them where you have like a sticky trap
Yep.
for bugs. So it looks like it's caught some stuff. So how do you find do you find, like, I know you said you had some kind of pest issues with fungus gnats in the past. What kind of caused that to happen, and then how did you guys solve that?
So we had issues when we were growing flowers. We used to grow sorrel, and that's when we had a lot of like flies. And we basically tried ourselves like putting those sticky traps, but then at some point we brought in a pest control person and they placed like these traps. You don't have to bring in a pest control person, but we have one in any case because our landlord wants us to have like a pest control plan.
Yeah.
So these sticky traps basically took care of the situation. We don't need them anymore, but I think it still helps if there's like a random spider or,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It looks like it caught a little potato bug in there. And yeah, people think that you're growing indoors, you won't have any pests, but it's just inevitable. You're gonna have, something pop up.
Air recirculation from outside, so it is bound to come.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, and you harvest everything with this?
Yes.
Okay, nice.
Yes. We don't want to cut anything by hand
Yeah, yeah.
anymore.
Is this the first one you've ever had?
We have 2 of these.
Okay.
We actually we've been talking about getting another table so we can have 2 machines running at once.
Yeah.
We want to see if we can optimize the time, like even now, what we do right now is, we have one machine running and then one of us is harvesting, one of us is packing. But I'm hoping that if we run both the machines, we can cut down our harvesting time even more.
Yeah.
So that's something we have to basically get a table first.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
It's like the classic math problem. If you put 2 people to work at the same time, how many products can you produce?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Figure
Yeah.
out how to optimize.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. No, I've never actually seen that. So it'll be interesting to see what the results are if you guys end up doing that. Because if you already have a second harvester, then
Yeah.
it's just a matter of getting a table.
Yeah.
And you guys using stainless steel tables, which are great for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So then you would harvest the product, it ends up in this bin here, and then you put it directly into the, like, what's the next step that you guys
We
do?
have these plastic bins. So everything is basically we tip this basket into the bins and then we weigh everything on the scales. And this is basically what the finished product would look like.
Wow. Yeah, their packaging is just unbelievable. It's by far the nicest packaging I've seen for retail. And it's really cool because I'll just show that they have, for each crop, they have a different leaf shape in built into the label, which I think is so cool and unique and really beautiful too. So this is the full product lineup?
We have a few more that I think are, we have like 10 like retail SKUs right now. So 10 different labels.
Yeah. And what's funny is these scales here, they seem to be always looking like the ones that are meant for weighing product always look like they're from the past. Like to me that the ones we got too they look like they're from the 80s.
Yeah.
But they're so expensive because they have to be, at least in Canada, for they have to meet like Measurement Canada standards. So I'm guessing it's the same here. And then they like the technology hasn't changed in probably like 30 years. But they charge so much money for those scales, and I think it's funny that it's like one of those things. Yeah.
Bulky, like old televisions.
Yeah. And then the packaging, you guys have one size for most things, but then this house micro mix, you have 2 different sizes. So I'd love to hear kind of, the broccoli as well. There's 2 sizes?
We have 2 sizes for most of the products. But the larger boxes, that's D2C, that
okay.
doesn't go to retail.
Got it.
And then we also have half-pound boxes that is only food service. Yep.
But those they don't have the same label. They have
We have like just a very basic label for those. like just a
Yeah,
square label for the half-pound
for sure.
food service boxes.
Yeah, for food service, I find that you don't need a fancy label. It's really
Yeah,
just for retail that they
right.
really like to have like a
Yep.
beautiful package. And yeah, I think your guys' packaging it's unbelievable. Like I want to just like, just admire it because it's just done so well. Um, yeah,
Thank
anyway,
you.
yeah.
Thank you.
And then so then after you guys package it, it goes in a fridge, I'm guessing.
Yes.
And
Yep.
then from there it goes the next day it goes to delivery, or how does the kind of deliveries usually work?
Correct. Our goal is to try and get it 24 hours from time of harvest, probably even lesser.
Yep.
So the next morning, it's either picked up or we go drop it off.
Yep.
Okay, nice.
If
And
it's to the customer.
how long does you do 2 deliveries a week or one?
We do 2 deliveries a week, and the shelf life on most of them is 14 days.
Nice.
The only one I would say is less than 14 days is basil. Basil lasts like typically 7 to 8 days if you refrigerate it. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I wish basil lasts as long. Do you have any whenever I did testing with arugula, I found the shelf life was tough on that. How do you find the shelf life on the arugula compared to like a kale or broccoli?
I don't think we found it like very different from the other brassicas, but now that you mention it, I would probably make a more careful observation to see if
Okay.
it's the same.
Yeah, it could have just been my experience. Like we never sold it commercially, so we don't have as much
Yeah.
expertise in it as you guys do. But yeah, that's awesome that you get that kind of shelf life. I think it's really important especially for retailers to have
Yes.
a really good shelf life because they don't want to lose
Yep.
on the product as much as they can. So having that high amount of days shelf life on across the board really helps. Obviously, with the exception of basil, because I've I've tried. There's nothing to
Yeah,
do about
you
basil.
cannot do
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then from here,
Yeah.
you have the trays that have just the soil left and the crop is packaged.
Yes.
From there, where does the soil go?
We dump them in big boats that are taken away by a company called Black Earth. So they basically make compost. So we pay them to take it away at this
Yeah.
point, and then they convert it to compost and they sell it.
Okay, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you get to scale, like you guys are, it's really important to have a way to
Yeah.
remove the soil off site. Obviously, when you're at home, you can put in your garden or, send it to the city compost. But once you're in a commercial facility,
Yeah.
you can't just put a pile of soil, in the back of the building and just hope for
Yeah.
the best. Like it's got to go somewhere. So I'm glad you guys found a solution for that.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
and I think that's pretty much it. But it would be great to hear about. You guys have a campaign going on to raise money for a tray washer to get for your staff and for yourselves to make life a lot easier. Because washing trays, for me personally, was my least favorite part
Yeah.
of running a microgreens farm, and I think for a lot of people the same thing. So you guys are actually raising money to purchase a tray washer. So I'd love to hear more about that and share that with everyone.
Yeah, definitely. So, I want to mention, like, as you said, nobody likes washing trays. And we've had a lot of like staff like leave as well, because it's nobody's, nobody's favorite thing to do. We do have some staff that has been very, very reliable. But what we hope to achieve is a lot more consistency in the washing and sanitation that will, basically make a huge impact on crop quality. So we are raising a crowdfunding. We're crowdfunding with the help of a nonprofit. They're called Massachusetts Growth Capital Corp. And we are raising $12,563 with them. And what they're going to do is they're going to match it 1:2. So they're going to match approximately 24,000. So as long as we crowdfund 12,000, they'll match 24, and then we can put the whole amount towards a tray washer.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, and if I'll put the link for that in the video notes, and I think it ends
On November 14th.
November
Yeah.
14th. Yeah, so
Yeah.
if anyone is watching this and has the ability to help Giant Gorilla Greens get their tray washer, it would definitely be super helpful for them. And yeah, and they're leading the way in a lot of different things with microgreens farming. So it's great to support local farmers and make their lives a little bit easier, because farming is tough work. It's really hard, and having a tray washer makes life so much easier. And yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it was great to do this tour and see your farm. I think this was really, really great, and I'm excited to share this with everyone. And yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thanks for coming
Jonah.
down and being with us,
Yep.
talking about your experience and helping us over the years.
Yep.
Go to where we are right now.
Awesome. Yeah, I get a lot of satisfaction from it, so the pleasure's all mine. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.